From Memphis, Tennessee, number 10, TODD.
Todd Fitzgerald Day, born January 7th, 1970. When they put me in the ground, I'll still feel like I didn't give the game all that I could. Todd Day reflecting on his career in the NBA specifically, seeing as he only spent 8 seasons in the league and in 04-05, 4 years removed from his last game and playing with the Arkansas Rimrockers, he still felt he was an NBA caliber player. He was 28 when he left the first time and 31 when the doors were shut for good. Todd Day, for all intent, didn't have a bad NBA career, finishing with a 12.3 point per game average and posted a career-high 16 points per game in his 3rd season for the Milwaukee Bucks. But considering he was the 8th overall pick in the '92 draft, with all-star Latrell Sprewell picked behind him, and what he was able to do in college, much more was expected of him once he finally got to the pros. The NBA was ultra-competitive in the 90s for shooting guards, guys like Reggie Miller, Clyde Drexler, Eddie Jones, Allen Houston, and of course Michael Jordan, to name a few of many, and Day, entering the draft, was considered to have similar success in the open court and high-paced NBA. He was good size at 6'8", long arms, and could shoot and defend when he was locked in, but for some reason, those didn't play into his favor like in Allen Houston, who he was mostly compared to as far as expected impact on that level. Leaving high school, he was recognized as one of the best players in the country, making the McDonald's All-American game and being named Mr. Basketball in his state. He was essentially Penny Hardaway before Penny in Memphis, choosing to leave state and attend Arkansas, where he had a Hall of Fame career beginning right away. He was the team's 2nd leading scorer his freshman season, the only year he didn't lead the Razorbacks in scoring, a team that went to the tournament every year, making it as deep as the Final Four back in 1990. Every team at the time was in search of their next great shooting guard, and Day was rated as a top 3 at the position on draft night, taken 2nd at the position and 8th after Jimmy Jackson went to Dallas at 4. Milwaukee was in complete rebuild mode, missing the playoffs the season before, but the fortunes never turned around with the addition of Day, losing even less games 2 seasons straight and missing the playoffs back to back as they waited for him to step into a leadership role. He'd have his best season before he was traded to the Celtics, where he had his last few good seasons before his career began its decline. What happened? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Take a minute to like, subscribe, and comment on who I should do next. Todd Day was a 6'8" shooting guard born in Illinois before moving to Memphis, Tennessee, and starred for Hamilton High School, coached by his stepfather. He made a name for himself for his versatile game and his breakneck fast break plays that helped his high school team average more than 90 points a game. They shot a lot of threes and wanted to score first and score most. It led to an All-American career and earned him a top 10 shooting guard ranking. He chose Arkansas because of how close the coaching staff became to his family, showing up to all his practices and games and having non-stop interaction with their future star. He was an important piece to their competitive 90s team, and by his senior year, he had improved as a scorer every year. He also shot over 40% from 3 twice in his 4-year career, leaving as the school's all-time leading scorer. Stunt number 1, struggles being consistent. Entering the NBA, Day's best-case scenario was to come into a talented team that understood how to get up and down the floor and do what Todd did best since his high school days, which was score the basketball, and the Bucks struggled with that in those down years to begin his career, where they missed the postseason every year. Day showed signs early on, like the 26 he had against the Bullets in '93, then the next game, 2 points versus the Spurs. Or season-high 30, next game 6 points. He was still a rookie, even though 23 years old, and finished his first season averaging nearly 14 a game. There was promise. Then the next season, he averaged 12 a game and shot even worse at 22% than the 29% from 3 he averaged a year before. He was up and down his first 2 seasons, but improved year 3 to a career year, but the team still wasn't winning. Day's development was slow and looking to have a ceiling to it, and he and Alton Lister had complaints about their playing time the first 8 games of his 4th year with the team. Those 8 games were all the Bucks gave Day and needed before they realized the highs weren't as frequent as the lows for him as a player, averaging 9 points and shooting 20% from 3 to start the 95-96 season. Looking for guard leadership, the Bucks traded he and Alton Lister to the Celtics for Sherman Douglas, who spent just 1 full season in Milwaukee before 2 moving on and on the decline. By the mid-90s, Michael Jordan had established his dominance and the world got to see the bar raised for shooting guards all across the league, and for a guy like TODD, who hovered around 10 to 14 points per game his first 4 to 5 seasons, he lost opportunity and the allure of him being a top 10 draft pick. One year, he might shoot 39% from 3, and the next as low as 20%, then up to 36% the following. For as competitive as things were, his inconsistency to show he could carry over his scoring from college to the NBA lessened the chances teams gave him to prove otherwise. Stunt number 2, not being a specialist. In an interview, TODD said himself that he feels one of the biggest regrets he has with his NBA career is not coming in or developing into some sort of specialist on the court. A player known for the consistency to do one thing at a high level. It goes hand in hand with stunt number 1, and I can see how either could affect the other. Thing is, I think Todd was a specialist, or at least was expected to come in and be a specialist in the scoring aspect based on the success and consistency at which he did it in college. On a team that were competitive in college with multiple NBA draft picks every year and who went to the tournament all 4 years as well. But when that didn't translate to the NBA in time, teams began looking at what else does he do that we can count on getting on a nightly basis. The answer was not much. Sure, he could defend at 6'8", right? But then you study his blocks, steals, and defensive rebounds per game and understand that wasn't going to be his appeal, nor him being a knockdown shooter, as he struggled honing in on making a mark in that area over the years consistently, and he wasn't the highest flyer or fastest end-to-end or a glue guy that brought leadership using his voice, IQ, or defense. Day was just Day. When teams saw he was only going to be that by the time he was traded to the Celtics, he fell behind other options on teams and became easily expendable. Boston too missed the postseason both his years with the franchise before he signed a 1-year deal with the Miami Heat, where he took a pay cut instead of going overseas for a chance to show he still had potential. Stunt number 3, being cut by Pat Riley. Instead of showing growth and turning his career around in 97-98, after the first 5 games in Miami, he and Pat Riley disagreed about his substitution patterns and how he was running team practices. Pat Riley called a team meeting and asked all the players if there was anyone who had a problem with his leadership, rotations, or his method of coaching the team. No one answered until he called on TODD and asked him, "What about you, Todd? Do you have a problem?" Before he could answer, Pat said, "You know what? You're cut. Get out." Reportedly, there was almost a physical altercation before Day was removed from the locker room, and that was the end of his time in Miami. It would be the end of his time in the league the next season as well, as no team picked him up and he made his way to the CBA. Phoenix signed him for the 99-2000 season, the only he played in the playoffs. His final stop was in Minnesota 2000-2001 for 31 games. Then, at 31 years old, he was out the league after the team didn't re-sign him. He played minor league ball before getting into coaching himself, as he's remembered for having a solid but less than expected career. All in all, Todd, on a good day, could be as good as any shooting guard. He even once tied Larry Bird's scoring high in a quarter with 24 before ML Carr took him out the game so Larry Bird's record could stand. But he wasn't consistent in his efforts, some believe, but certainly in result, and for these reasons, his growth was stunted. Salute, much respect, it's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.